If you look at the advanced metrics, you look at his separation rates last year. I love Curtis Samuel. I love me some Curtis Samuel.
Son, there's a little
Definitely.
blood. There's a little blood flow going on over here. Hearing you talk about advanced metrics, I love
Yeah,
that.
you like that, right? Go a little. What's going on, man?
Son, how you doing?
Man, it feels like we were just doing this, huh?
I know. Time flies.
It is incredible how fast the week goes these days. But we are back doing roster grades. And so let's preface this, right? We teased roster grades in the last episode. Let's preface what we're doing for this and kind of the concept here. So we are grading. Remember when you were in college, Pop? Back when TVs were black and white and dinosaurs roamed the earth, and teachers would grade on a
Not too
curve.
far off the truth.
And as the pterodactyl would fly over the classroom, the teacher would say, "Hey, you guys bombed this test, so we're curving it so that the class all gets better grades." That's kind of what we're doing here. We're grading on the curve a little bit. We're grading based off of, hey, this roster sucks top to bottom, and this is a foundation. What is the foundation like here to build on going forward, considering cap space, draft capital, drafting number 2 overall? Where are we at? So if you hear us say, okay, defensive line is a B, and then you want to jump in the comments and say, how could it be a B when we have no edge talent? That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is it's a B that we can build on going forward. Does that make sense to you, Pop? You think I explained
Makes
that well?
complete sense to me.
No, it makes sense to you. You came up with the concept. I'm just making sure I got it across. I got it across eloquently.
Well, the people are going to have to comment, but yeah, maybe give an example. Like if you take wide receiver, right? The two main guys that are signed are Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin. How do we like them as a foundation? Obviously, we're going to have to bring other guys in. We're going to have to re-sign Curtis, draft the kid. But starting out with those two as a foundation, how would you grade that group? That's how this is going to work as a starting point. Full disclosure, got a little vacation plans. We're recording this early, so we might not have the latest news there, but it's the off season, so we thought this would be a fun topic to go through. We'd love to hear from you about what you think about the guys we have. There's always that little bit of danger with the guys we have. Do we overrate them because we're close to them? But that's how we're going to roll with this one.
Yep, and I think all in all, we're expecting a lot of roster turnover. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, shall we get started, Pop?
Let's roll. Just got to plug in the laptop.
All good over there?
We're good. We're good.
All right. Yeah, that's important. I'm glad. I'd rather you recognize that now than in about 5 minutes your screen shuts off and we got to start this.
Hey, I did everything. It's funny. You were talking about the college thing, and you think about when I went to college, there's no cell phones. So I remember the big deal was if somebody had one of those little black and white TVs to use at a tailgate to watch a game, and you'd be trying to work the signal, get it just right, balance it on the car. And now we got everything we want on this little device. So pretty crazy how far things have advanced since, the old man was in college.
There it is.
There was no sitting in your dorm scrolling Google. You had to read a book or something.
I'm also under the impression they hadn't invented shoes, snow shovels, or walking downhill back then. You only walked uphill. There was no way to walk
both
downhill.
Ways. To and from class was uphill.
Barefoot. Anyways, let's get into it. So, Pop, you want to start on the offense or defense? We'll let you take us through how you want to do this here. Offense or defense first?
It's a good one. I had it. I think it's if we're flowing with the article we're going to use as a reference.
You want me to Ron Burgundy it a little bit? I'll Ron
Just
Burgundy.
Go through the article top to bottom. I think it's offense first.
There you go. So offense is first. We're going to do offense first. So let's just go through it, man. Quarterback. First things first. Quarterback. Ron, what has held you back from taking the jumps that you've taken, that the other teams in the division have taken? Quarterback. Let's start there, man. Let's start there. Sam Howell is the only quarterback on the roster at the moment. Technically speaking, I guess Jacoby is a free agent.
Jacoby's a
Tom's
free
on the
agent.
practice squad, right?
Yeah.
Where do you put us
I think they
at
still
quarterback?
own Fromm's rights, I think, just from how things are color coded here. But
Yeah,
yeah, so this will maybe be a good example of how we're going to do our gradings. We know we have the number 2 pick in the draft. We know that likely that's going to be a quarterback. So I feel good with the foundation that we have in Sam. He's got 18 starts under his belt. He's had some flashes of being able to good. If you want to hear the Sam Howell debate, reference the last pod, we mixed it up pretty good on that. But I feel pretty good about the foundation we have here, knowing we're going to get very most likely a young guy in the draft. They're going to go B minus here. I like
yeah.
having Sam as a backup and someone that could push, and maybe if someone we have to lean on to start a few games here and there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go C plus because an A plus would be Pat Mahomes and Chad Henne at backup, right? Something like that. So you gotta go C plus. I think Sam is so far what Sam has proven. Argue with your mama. You cannot start him for 17 games and make the playoffs. That's what he's proven so far. Maybe it changes, but that's what he's proven so far. So automatically A and B off the table for me there. You give us the number 2 overall draft pick, which historically is about a 50-50 shot at landing a stud versus landing, either somebody that's average or just straight up doesn't pan out. So you put those two factors together, you have a half decent backup in Sam Howell, and you have the chance to land an all-star. You have the second best chance in the NFL to land an all-star. I'll go ahead and give us a C plus. That's the best
Yeah,
I
I mean,
can do.
I'm a little higher on Sam than the boy, but again, last podcast, it's up there. It's the very last clip. You can hear all you want about that there, but yeah, that's quarterback. I think more than likely we're going to have a new young stud to get hyped about.
Yep. So that's quarterback. So now let's jump to running back, which Pop. Did you remember that we had running backs last year? I mean, that was we barely. It's not really much running back action happening last year, and to no fault of the individuals, it's just I think some members of the coaching staff forgot that that was a position. Ironically, given that they played it, forgot that that was a position that could be played on the football field. You figure with Anthony Lynn coming in and with this new offense, we're going to be running the football a little bit more. But running
Can I
back is
can
the
I
next
give
position.
can I give a production note here just for a
Please,
second? Just for a second, because busting your chops is fun.
grind me over
I
something
just said
meaningless. Go
go
ahead.
top down of the article, and you skipped offensive line, tight end, wide receiver, went all the
I'm
way down.
going. I'm gonna edit that. I'm going top down on your.
Anyway,
I'm going top down on your outline like you told me to. But fine, whatever. We go top down on the article instead. So you want
no,
to go?
running back. Let's do it.
All right,
Let's do it.
running back. You got to outline two different ways, and I go left and you go right, and of course, whatever direction I went is wrong. That's just how this works here. Um, I got running back. Pop's having a blast over there. We're doing running back next until Pop takes over and Steve leaves. I'm driving this thing. F it. Running back is
That's
next.
right. You're
Argue with your
right.
mom. Running back is
Oh,
next.
it's too fun.
Pop Brian Robinson, the starter. Antonio Gibson not on the roster at this very moment, and Chris Rodriguez Jr. as a backup there. Chris Rodriguez showed flashes, and then he fumbled the ball and showed flashes again. I don't know what to make of Chris Rodriguez. Brian Robinson, by all accounts, could be a stud if you give him the carries. What do you think there?
Yeah, I think that it's interesting, and just hearing the coaches talk. The assistants gave some talks. I guess it would have been 2 weeks ago now. Yeah, I feel like they're going to be, with Anthony Lynn being brought in. I think they're going to be more focused on the run game than you might think a Cliff Kingsbury offense would be. I think Dan Quinn, and again, I'm just projecting here because I really don't know anything. And I like the two running backs that we got. I like B Rob. I like Chris Rodriguez. We obviously
Yeah,
have to go out and get somebody with speed that can be, that explosive guy for that. So I guess I'm going to have to go. I'm just going to say solid C, because I think there's a pretty big hole there that we need to fill, and we just don't know how that's going to get filled. But I am a big B Rob fan.
yeah. I'm way higher on this group than you, man. I don't think there's much to fill here in terms of like because again, I said it going into last year, I was proven correct. Robinson is way more of a receiving threat than he's given credit for. He can catch the ball. I think Robinson is a true three down back in this league. I'm gonna go B plus on the running back group just because I think with an efficient passing game, I don't think you need much more than what's here. I mean, maybe you can get a Jet McKinnon or something to that effect. But I like with what we're going there on running back. I like what we have there.
Yeah, maybe they go rookie, to try to get that explosive third down back type. I don't think Antonio Gibson's going to be a high priority to bring back. Like him, but I think he's just an example or a casualty of move on. We need fresh blood,
Yeah.
situation. So
Yeah, I agree. I think we should just leave it up to. I think we're not in a position right now where our team can do the experiment of, oh, was he just misused under the Rivera system? There's 31 other teams in the NFL to figure that out. Let's go get a guy that we know fits this system now
yeah,
if we need to add. I don't think we need to add.
agree.
But let's head to offensive line. Let's kind of get back in sync here, doing it Pop's way.
Do it your way,
So
son. I just wanted to bust your chops.
no, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. This is easier. This is easier. You're right. So we're going offensive line. We got Charles Leno on the roster for sure. Probably going to be your starting left tackle. Then you got Chris Paul, Andrew Wiley at left guard. You do have Braden Daniels, who's kind of like a project situation at tackle as well. Lord knows how that's going to work out. And then at center, Ricky Stromberg, Nick Gates at the moment. Right guard, Sam Cosmi, Julian Good Jones. I didn't even know this guy existed. I guess he's maybe a practice squatter. And then right tackle at the moment, Trent Scott is all that we have there.
Or Andrew
So
Wiley if they decide to keep him.
right, or Andrew Wiley, who he was listed at left guard in this article. They're
He's listed in both spots. Yeah.
yeah, they're accounting for moving him inside, I guess. At least on the graphic that I'm looking at here. But what do you make of that offensive line, Pop, grade wise?
You know, this is one of those where there was a lot of debate. Was it Sam? Was it the offensive line? Was it coaching? There were some people saying the grades were better. When you read off the names, I mean, there are names there that I think have some potential, but really the only guy that you could really say played really well was Sam Cosmi.
Yep.
Some of the other guys had some moments like Paul.
Charles, who's going to be gone.
Yeah, Shadiq, who's a free agent, and I don't know that we can count on him. At the end of the day, Charles Leno struggled at times, so I just don't know. Given the grades we've always given, D plus.
That's exactly where I was going to go.
This is a group needs a lot of work. It just needs a lot of work, a lot of focus.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go. D plus. Chris Paul, okay. Charles Leno, okay. Sam Cosmi, I think, is 1 year away from an All Pro or a Pro Bowl.
But Chris Paul couldn't beat out Shadiq Charles, right? He couldn't beat out Shadiq Charles.
Well, but how much are we going to grade what the last staff we saw for consistent years? We saw the last staff backups outplaying the studs. So I'm kind of D plus. I think, and the only reason this is even a passing grade is because I know D plus is not a passing grade in the Tenalia household. B plus is barely a passing grade in our household, but
he's only here.
Technically, a passing grade is because of Sam Cosmi just being so damn good. I was even willing to maybe go C minus, but I agree with you the way we've graded already. D plus on the offensive line.
And I think there needs to be a bit of a purge, like a Nick Gates and Andrew Wiley. Some of the misses. I'll just say I won't call them mistakes, but misses that we have from the previous regime. Let's start over. I'm not big on bringing Shadiq back. Things that didn't work out. Let's get some fresh blood in that group, and hopefully, we can re-energize that group going forward. It's got to be a focus.
Yeah. So moving on to tight end here.
Woo!
Keep it short and simple. This is an F. This is an F for me.
Yeah,
I think the only upside to
this
this
is bad.
situation is that there's not a ton of cap situation to deal with here, and we're not like tied up into some bad deal or something like that. But F for me. I mean, you want to talk about Ashburn syndrome. Logan Thomas, Armani Rogers, Cole Turner, and John Bates. I mean, just Ashburn syndrome across the board there. Not a single guy that I think is a serviceable starter in the league. F for me.
Yeah, there's not much to hang your hat on here. It feels like they got to completely rebuild tight end. I mean, Armani Rogers
Yeah.
was some of the showed some potential, but it's coming off of Achilles tear. You got John Bates,
Yeah.
who is your favorite commander of all time. And I mean, Cole Turner, just training camp hero, but don't see anything from him on the field. So this
The
is just a
Sneak
complete
Charles of tight ends.
restart. I hate going F. I'll go D minus just to be kind, but this I'm not even sure any one of these guys is going to be back. Maybe
Yeah.
Bates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going F. I'm going a firm
Yeah.
F. I mean, yeah, look no further than the way we've evaluated Rogers and Cole Turner in the past to wonder if this current strain of Ashburn syndrome is strong enough. I think this is the most deadly variant we've had in decades here. Oh my God, it's just awful. So wide receiver, uh, we got Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, uh, and a
That's
bunch of
about it.
names I couldn't
De'Ami
tell you. I
Brown.
mean, De'Ami Brown, Yazoo, just not a great situation there. Byron Pringle, unrestricted free agent next year. Man, I don't know how we're going to do without him. That's a tough situation there, letting that guy go. What's he going to do? But the wide receivers looking thin too. All of a sudden, it's amazing what
But
a
again,
worse
remember the
general
rule,
manager in
right?
football can
It's
do
a
to your roster.
foundation, and the foundation here is Jahan Dotson and Terry. So how do we feel about those being our top two guys coming back? I think that's how we
Yeah,
have to grade this position. We obviously need to bring some guys in. You do have De'Ami Brown coming back as well. I'd love to see us re-sign Curtis. We'll get into that
yeah.
later, but I think let's grade it as a foundation similar to what we did quarterback. You got to assume they're gonna be adding to that group.
Give me your grade, Pop. Give me your grade. How you feeling?
I think as a foundation, love Terry. I think Jahan, you got to answer the question of was it coaching and did they just misuse him? It appears to be the case. Last year he's a guy that I think people are still very, very high on as a prospect in this league. So I like the foundation of those two guys coming back. I don't know about Diami. He's had his shot. Just not sure that's ever going to work out, but he could be a decent depth guy. I'll go B minus as a foundational group. With this receiver group.
Yeah, I'm gonna go C plus.
I mean, Terry
I'm gonna
McLaurin's in that group.
yeah, and I'm going
A
C
little
plus.
disrespectful.
I might heat you up a little bit here, Pop. I'm going C plus. Terry is in that group. Yes, Terry is a victim of circumstance to a degree. Yes, Terry barely got over 1,000 yards in garbage time last year, and we're paying him $70 million. That's a little worrisome for me. And
Oh my god.
The Jahan
Oh my
sophomore slump,
god.
the Jahan sophomore slump is really worrisome for me too. I don't know that we've got
So
like
you think we're overpaying Terry McLaurin?
I didn't say that. I didn't see this is the problem with this. I can't give you a take you just disagree with without you making it a big thing. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I think right now there's a little bit more to prove than most of the fan base is seeing in this wide receiver group, personally. Personally. I mean the best wide receiver
Son,
from last year is not on the roster anymore. Like I'm a little
you think
more
you would call Curtis Samuel the best wide receiver last year over Terry McLaurin? Curtis Samuel had a
I
good year. He wasn't the best
Curtis,
wide receiver.
I liked Curtis last year, man. I'm a little worried. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if it was the Bieniemy situation. I don't know if it's the Howell situation. I'm more concerned. And hey, God bless America. I'm entitled to my opinion here. I'm a little more concerned about the wide receiver group than I think the average fan is. And I think I'm right
And that's fair.
about
And
that.
you look, son, number one, I love you. Sorry I gave you a hard time about the outline. I just think that's what the
So
people
hey,
pay
we're good.
for. Us mixing this up sometimes. You do have a right to your opinion. You I'm higher. I've always been higher on Terry than you. I think that the way this position group and the passing game and the overall offense was coached last year was awful. And so I don't think, I kind of go back that Terry McLaurin didn't suddenly, and he still got 1,000 yards. And he didn't suddenly forget how to play football. I don't think Jahan Dotson suddenly forgot how to play football. So I'm referencing back a year with those
That's
guys.
fair.
I still think Terry's top 10 in the league. I know you don't quite have him that high, and that's fair. You have a right to that opinion. He's my favorite, player in the last 10 years, so maybe I'm a little bit biased there. But I hear you. I hear
Yeah,
you. Let's go.
I
Let's
gotta
talk a
go.
little defense.
I gotta go C plus, and then the drop off after Jahan Dotson is like, woo. There's also like you
Yeah,
need
that's
four
fair.
wide receivers.
But
You don't need
again,
three.
foundation. We're going to have to add to this group.
Yeah,
Foundation.
yeah. Foundation is I, which C plus is an I grade in my opinion. Uh,
We're not too far
so
off. I went B minus. You went C plus.
yeah, pretty much the same
Not
grade.
not not much difference,
Pretty much the
really.
same grade. So
Love and harmony.
I, yeah, we're all good. We're all good. So I like it. So offense we're covered on. Let's move on to the defense here. So we're gonna do defensive line as one group,
Yeah.
right? And this is another one that Pop's probably gonna find me too low on, but I'm gonna stand with it. This is a flat C for the kid. Flat C. Because defensive line is one group. The edge situation is a disaster. Absolute disaster on the outside. It's a mess. You saw the way teams were running the football on us after we let go of Montez Sweat. I don't know about letting go of Montez Sweat at this point right now. We'll see how it pans out. I'm starting to have second thoughts about that. Whatever, it's done. Wish him the best. Um, Edge situation is a disaster, and the interior defensive line is very strong and there's a lot to build on. So when you take a failing grade and you average it with an A, you get a C. So I'm going C.
Yeah, you're actually talking me into it a little bit because I think, if you base it on the performance of last year, even though we talked about how great our tackles are, they didn't perform very well
Down
last
year,
year.
yep.
So is that again just a down year for the whole team as a whole, or is it these guys are just oversized? I still believe in the combination of those two guys, Allen and Payne. I think they can be dynamic, and I think they're going to get re-energized. It might just be a question of health. And then, to quote this article again from Hogs Haven, shout out to those guys. The edge guys that we have, Henry and Andre Jones, are quote unquote going to be competing for a roster spot. So, they're not viewed as potential starters here. We do
Yeah.
have great depth on the interior still. We got Ridgeway there, who probably has some experience with Dan Quinn from his Dallas days. Phil Mathis, hopefully, has been a kind of a bust so far, but
Kind of.
can he get healthy?
That's the
But yeah,
nicest thing you've ever said on this podcast, kind of.
I'll go C plus. I'll go
Yeah.
C plus with this group. I was going to be
We'll
in the
hit that.
B's, but you talked me out of it. I'll go C plus.
If we're
This group.
splitting it, I'd probably go B plus tackle, F edge, right? But you gotta go C if we're putting
That's
all three,
fair.
in my opinion. Um, so we got defensive line. Next up is going to be linebackers, right? The
Woo!
linebackers next.
That's
Oh,
the tight
that
end of the defense.
that is the tight end of the
I mean,
defense.
you
It's
really
another
only
F.
have Jamin Davis as your foundation here.
Yeah,
Everyone else
another
is a
F.
free. Everyone else is a free agent, right?
Yeah,
Um,
that's another F. No way to shake it. That's an F. I mean, you bring
I
Patrick
mean, come
Queen in, you
on, Dominic. You
immediately
know you
boost
want to
that.
bring
But
Cody Barton back.
oh
Come
man,
on.
juice for Cody Barton. Man, I'll tell you what, I was playing Madden with a buddy of mine last night, and we play one game where we play the best teams and we both play the same team, and then we won't play one game where we play the worst team. So last night our worst team was the Commanders. And I was setting up my formation, making my substitutions, and I'm going, who the hell is this 57 guy at linebacker? Oh my god, we had Cody Barton last year. Wow,
Yeah.
that's like how like traumatic that experience was. I blacked it out in my memory.
Yeah, I mean,
Quiznos. How could I forget Quiznos?
the linebacker group has to be again completely rebuilt. But I think what makes it different than the tight end group is I do think that Jamin Davis is a guy that, if he's used right, can be a solid piece. I'm not going to say he's going to be a star or he's going to
Sure.
justify his draft position, but I think he's got some talent. He's shown some flash. I think this coaching group's going to coach him up. He's in a contract year. So for those reasons where I really don't see any of the tight ends being valuable pieces coming off, I gave them a D plus. I'll give the linebacker group a D.
Tell you what. I'll go D minus. I'll go D minus. This is a 60%.
Generous of you.
This is a 59.9. You just made it. You just got to the point where you don't have to bring the test home for mom and dad to sign. And you know what? Sometimes that's enough. But yeah, I'll go D minus here. And then cornerback slash secondary would be the next situation, right? And I mean there's a lot of variance here. What I'm gonna give it to you. Where do you go there, Pop? I really don't know what to make of this group.
It's tough, right? Because again, you got free agents. You got Fuller's a free agent and Cam Curl's a free agent. So you could argue your two best players in that secondary. Maybe not argue. Your two best players in that secondary are free agents. So what do you do there? Your foundation is, say Juiced, who's been okay at times. Emmanuel Forbes,
he just can't be your number one guy.
Who obviously I think most teams had a first round grade on him, so it's not that we just got it wrong, but a lot of work to do there. Some other decent pieces at safety there, but I don't know. This one's tough. Derek Forrest, I like. Quan Martin was coming up and doing some good things. Percy Butler's pretty decent. C minus.
Yeah, I go like
C minus.
I gotta go C here, and I think I go C because this is a different C than the defensive line C was, where we had some A's and we had some F's, and it averages to a C. This is a C because I think we have C's at every single position here that's coming back for sure next year. I don't think there's a single B. I don't think there's a single B minus. I think these are C's all the way across the board for different reasons. I think you have St. Juice playing out of position, playing him in the slot. You move back outside. Maybe we see some better things. I think Emmanuel Forbes. You said a lot of teams had him graded in the first round, but a lot of teams had Banks.
Not as high as we picked him.
Had Banks, Porter Jr., and Gonzalez going before him. So maybe as the fourth cornerback,
you're right.
But we had all those guys to pick from, and we took him. That was craziness. Forbes is a guy that I don't see it. I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to on the kid. I hope he turns it around. I don't see it. So I got to give him a C for potential, but go ahead.
No, sorry. I'm interrupting you. I thought of a point here. I thought of a point here in that, we blame coaching a lot, but at some point players got to be accountable. And at corner especially, you got to guard a guy.
C-man Mark
at that point, your talent has to come through. We saw Quan Martin start to come around through the course of the season, and we just didn't see that out of Emmanuel.
Yeah.
But I never like to count out a rookie, especially given the coaching situation last year. But, we can't put it all on coaching. So the great ones are great no matter who's coaching them or no matter who their quarterback is, in the case of Terry McLaurin. So, I agree. Needless to say, is a lot of work that has to be done on this roster. Lots of C's, lots of D's, a couple of F's, couple of B minuses in there, but it's a rough go and a lot of work to do from Adam Peters and company.
It's a bad situation. So what do you say we do some work, Pop? Let's get into a quick little buy or sell segment here to wrap up.
Love the buy or sell.
See what we can fix. So do you want to run through this, or you want me to run through this?
You call it.
I'll call it. All right. So you guys know the drill with buy or sell. We're going to list off a bunch of different topics. And do you buy them? Do you sell them? Or there might be a trade later on down the line that we can work in a third option. But first thing, buy or sell, do you want to draft a quarterback number 2 or higher?
We're buying that one, right? I think I could speak for the both
Sold.
of us. We're on record there. You know, the other option is trade back, go veteran, stick with Sam. I don't love any of those. You don't. Hopefully, we're not in position to have the number 2 pick in the draft unless Adam Peters pulls off a brilliant trade with another team. And for a very long time, these opportunities don't come along that often. We've blown them the last couple of times that we've
Yeah.
had the chance to get that quarterback in this position. Got to go QB, especially with as high people seem to be on those top 3 prospects. Even if we stick at number 2, we should land a really good prospect, and we still got Sam on the roster to compete. So got to buy this one.
Yep, I'm buying that one for sure. Secondary free agents. Cam Curl, buy or sell? Go rapid fire.
Buy.
Buy.
Definitely
Agree
like
there.
Cam. Should bring him back.
Jeremy Jeremy Reeves coming off that season-ending injury. You buying or selling there?
I'd buy Jeremy. He's a team guy. He's all
Buy
in.
two.
He's a good special teamer. Why not? I don't think he's going to give you a ton in the secondary except for backup, but I like Jeremy
Inexpensive,
for what he's worth.
best special teamer in the league. One of them. Buying for sure. Kendall Fuller, buy or sell?
Make it a clean sweep. I like Kendall too. I think he's a guy that if you can get him back at the right price, you should make that. He's a pro. Not great, but I mean we need some foundational guys. Maybe a 1-year deal there. Maybe he doesn't is not interested in that, but
Yeah.
I'd get Kendall Fuller back if it's possible.
Yeah, I'm selling Kendall Fuller. I think he's better than these guys that I'm about to name, but like I think we've had this history of like cornerbacks coming here and playing okay, but not being all stars and us kind of crowning them as these champions. And then when they leave, they don't they don't really end up doing much, like a Bashaud Breeland type. I think Fuller's better than him. And there was a guy, Quentin Dunbar was another one. I think Fuller's better than both of those guys, but I'm going to sell Fuller. I'm not, I think, in the spirit of a clean sweep and just kind of letting the guys, he's like Antonio
That's
Gibson
fair.
for me. He's in that same group. So going to go
That's
ahead and
fair.
move on from him. So free agent wide receivers. Um, let's
So I think
go.
we agree there. Just to interject one point, I think we agree if we had to
Mhm.
keep one, it's Cam,
Of
right?
course.
Of
Of
those 3,
course.
if we had to just choose one of the 3, it's going to be
Yeah,
Cam.
of course,
Yeah,
but I think Cam and Jeremy fill different enough needs that you can bring back both.
fair, fair.
Um,
I'm with you.
wide receiver, free agents, buy or sell Curtis Samuel.
I want Curtis back again. Maybe Ashbone syndrome enough, but I loved what I saw from him. I mean, despite a
Buy,
terrible situation last year,
buy,
he was a pro, and I think he's a Swiss Army knife that can do a lot in the Cliff Kingsbury offense.
buy
Yeah,
Curtis Samuel.
bye.
Curtis Samuel, I think, is the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL. I buy Curtis Samuel. If you look at the advanced metrics, you look at his separation rates last year, you look at his efficiency when he was
Love
targeted.
that.
I love Curtis Samuel. I love me some Curtis Samuel.
Son, there's a little
Definitely
blood.
buying that.
There's a little blood flow going on over here. Hearing you talk about advanced metrics, I love
Yeah,
that.
you like that, right? Go a little
You're a
Brandon
star.
Staley on you.
You're a star.
Big Curtis Samuel guy. Jamison Crowder, buy or sell?
I love Jamison Crowder. I think as a special teams guy, if you can get him back on the cheap. Again, I'm probably guilty of saying what we shouldn't do, but I think as a depth guy, as special teams, as a returner, I'm trying to keep Jamison as long as the price is
Sell.
right.
I'm selling. I'm selling. He had a couple.
You're probably more reasonable than me in these situations.
Look, he had a couple exciting returns, but
I think
over
I
the
wanted to
course of
keep
this,
everybody on this list.
I
Wow.
know you're trying to keep everybody.
I'm buying everybody. That's
Look, man,
not that's wrong.
he's
I
got
mean,
an injury
definitely keeping
history.
Curtis over Jameson without a shadow of a. It's not even close.
Yeah, I'm selling Jameson because he's got an injury history, and don't look now, but Dax Milne the year before averaged more yards per return than he did. So just gonna
Fair,
leave that there. Just gonna leave that there.
fair.
He had a couple flashy plays, and we love the name because he reminds us of better times when we were going 10-6 instead of 7-10.
The
But
Jay Gruden days, the glory
good
days.
old the glory days. I'm ready to let go of Jamison Crowder and bring in Ray McLeod. That would be my solution there for return man. Free agent from San
That's fair.
Francisco.
I
Burner.
think you've changed my mind. I'm gonna
You're
sell
gonna
there as
sell too.
well. You flipped me.
Those are. It's just the kind of
You
guys we
flipped me
got to
on
get moving
Fuller and
away from.
Crowder.
There you
Yeah,
go. Look at that.
yeah.
All right, here's a good one. Here's our trade amendment there. Buy,
We could
sell,
go a
or
half
trade.
hour here, so buckle in, people.
We're not. I refuse to go.
We're
I
not.
refuse to go
We're
more
not.
than 2 minutes on this. Buy, sell, or trade Sam Howell on the roster. You could keeping would be buy, and selling would be trading him. I guess. So you're gonna buy
I
or
mean,
sell.
unless you've changed your mind, I think we're both on the books here saying we should keep Sam,
Yeah,
as a number two. So I think again, you can reference our previous pod. We debated this for a good 10, 15 minutes, much to the shock and dismay of Dominic. But yeah, I think keeping Sam. And I really think, I know you disagree, and we won't get in a long debate. I think Sam has the right attitude. He's got his feet on the ground. He knows the situation. He knows they're going to draft a QB. I think he's going to impress this coaching staff this offseason.
yeah.
I think he is, because I just think he's a great kid. He's a great locker room guy. Heard Davita Pritchard talking about Sam, in his interviews, talking about what a great locker room guy, what a great kid he is. He stopped short of fully endorsing him, which is a sign. So there's some growth there, but I think that he's gonna look good in training camp, and I think the team's going to be happy to keep him. So I'm definitely buying Sam.
Buy, keep on the roster, sure, because he's a cheap backup. I think if you get anything more than a third, you need to start really considering. But I would buy
Fair.
keeping him on. I would buy keeping him on the roster. A third or higher, you need to start thinking about it.
But
I keep.
if things go according to plan on Sam, he's going to be the backup. I mean,
Yeah,
at quarterback, let's just say, according to plan, at quarterback, he's going to be the backup. And I think he's going to look great in preseason. He's going to look great if he does have to come in spurts, because I think he'll thrive in that situation, kind of like a Taylor Heineke, come in as a backup. His trade value is going to just grow.
maybe
At some point, I do
that's
think you do need to trade him to get some
yeah.
value back for him. But I think there's potential that his trade value could grow by staying
I
on the
think
roster.
that's very optimistic, but I don't dismiss it. I don't dismiss it as a possibility. That's good insight. I think that's the optimistic take, but I'll keep
Man,
him on
it's
the roster
amazing
as a
how in like
as a cheap backup.
last 30 days of the season completely changed your opinion of Sam. But you have a right to your opinion, as we
It's
established
not
earlier.
the. It's a little
God
more
bless
than just the
America.
last 30 days of the season. But like you said, we could go for a whole half hour. But things are different when you get off. You ride the roller coaster and you're going the whole way, and then you get off
That's
the roller
fair.
coaster and you get a couple minutes to decompress and
And
really look
in
at
all
it and go, okay, that wasn't
honesty,
as crazy as I thought.
he's got a lot of work to do. I think anyone that feels that Sam is a fully formed player, I do like what he can do off schedule. I do like his heart. I do like his character. I do like his arm. I think he can make elite throws, but his lack of pocket comfort, being comfortable in the pocket, and his lack of pocket awareness is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep, yeah, there's just I have
it's
a
a
lot of
problem.
concerns there that again we could talk about for way longer than we should. We're not going to. So let's get into the next one very quickly. Antonio Gibson, free agent. Are you buying or selling Antonio Gibson, bringing him back?
Gotta sell.
Yeah.
Gotta sell on Antonio. I think this is an opportunity to upgrade that position. And I do like him. I do think he'll have a spot in the league, but
Yeah.
he's had a fumbling problem. He's not, he's had issues in terms of like the selections he's made in the run game, in terms of finding the right hole, and because he's not a natural running back. Um, I think we can upgrade there, and I
Yeah.
would sell Antonio. He's not who I
I
would invest with and to bring back from our free agents.
I'd buy bringing him back on like a cheap 1 year prove it kind of situation with maybe a second year option if that's what the market dictates for him. But if there's another team, I think there's almost more value in selling Antonio Gibson and just giving those carries to Robinson and really seeing what you can develop there personally.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna sell. I think it's a situation where I just don't think that works as a split backfield, those two guys. I think their talents are a little closer than people think. And it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, this is such a Ron Rivera guy. This is a guy that was a wide receiver that we converted to running back. And 2 years into having him here, we're having arguments of is he a top 10 running back in the league? Never was, never will be, in my opinion. You sell them, you move on. I mean, you've got top 10 running backs in the league that don't even get second contracts. It's just not the way the league is moving right now. It's not the wisest way to spend your money. I think you got to sell Antonio Gibson, and I like the guy. I hope he turns out to be great somewhere else that's not in the NFC East or the NFC at all. But I'm ready to move on from Antonio Gibson. I think you sell.
No, I think you broke it down great. Is it, you know, is this idea of like trying to take a flyer on somebody with such a high pick and then relying on them so heavily as your starting running back, you know, for a while, and you know your key third down back. You know, it's I think he's made the most of the opportunity. You know, he's had some problems, but he's a great kid by all accounts. I wouldn't be upset if he was back, but I don't think he's going to end up being the kind of guy that this regime brings back.
Yeah,
At the end of the
I
day,
agree. I agree. Yeah, that's it. That's it for the boys, man. What do you say we wrap this thing up, Pop? Yeah, it's a
a
scorcher.
lot of content from the boys.
I knew we had a 40-minute in us. I just wasn't sure which one it was going to be, but we got that 40-minute out of the way. Guys, if you've been
More
with us this
content for the
far,
people.
yes, always. If you've been with us this long, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and check us out. We got these videos coming to you every Monday and Thursday, so hopefully you're enjoying it. And yeah, let's wrap this thing up. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Have a great week, everybody.